Ready? All right, thank you. Welcome to the Wilmington Elementary School SAM at Risk interviews. My name is Julie Leduc. I am the owner's project manager from SMMA. To my left,
Marianne Galezo, I'm on the finance committee in the Wildwood School.
my right.
I'm Eric Slagle, I'm the town manager.
I'm Lee Dorr, I'm a principal at Dorr and Whittier.
Welcome, Paul Ruggiero, Assistant Superintendent of Administration and Finance for the schools.
I'm gonna turn it over to you.
For us, please. There. Actually, the second will enter.
I can switch my.
Oh, there you go. Was that me or you?
You.
There, okay, we got it. All right, excellent. Well, thanks, everybody. Good evening. We're really excited to be here today to talk to you about the Wildwood Elementary School project. My name is Jody Starrett. I'm a Director of Project Executive at Consigli. I've been here for 22 years. The majority of that time has been spent in the academic 149A environment where I've built 6 elementary schools. I will be your consistent leadership from pre-construction all the way to construction. So I'm looking forward to bringing that experience here. I've been watching the evolution of this project over the last several months. We've focused on the main objectives that you've set for this project and these students. We understand that you want to build this building to create an environment where they are inspired to learn, where you want to challenge them. But most importantly, that you want them to feel safe. You want them to feel welcomed. You want them to feel included. And we saw a lot of parity between that and who we are as a company. You know, here at Consigli, everybody has a voice. Everybody has an opportunity to direct the path that the company goes in. We don't ever say, this is how we do it, and that's how it has to be done. We're constantly looking for that innovation, that feedback for how we can improve our processes and the experience that we bring to these projects. And that starts with the people at this table and the team that we're proposing. So this team, the majority are coming over from the Waltham High School project, with several key people currently working in the town on your town hall project. I know they're very much looking forward to the opportunity to continue that relationship. We're going to bring our proven pre-construction approach. We know how to build schools. We know how to plan schools. With that comes our vast database of historic costs. We know what this school should cost. We know what we can incorporate into this budget. We have a bunch of ideas we're going to talk about today to get some of the things you've been talking about into the project, so that you know every step of the way with cost certainty what is in your budget and what you're getting in the school that you need. And that leads to number 3 in terms of communicating that to the townspeople. At the end of the day, in all the communities and cities that we've had success helping pass the vote, the key is that the people need to understand that the money is being spent responsibly. They don't necessarily just want to build a building. They want to build something that's going to strengthen the community in which they live and understand that what that entails of spending that money are being mitigated. So this team is going to focus on that throughout the course of our presentation today. And, and with that, I'll let them introduce themselves.
So everyone, my name is John LaPero. I'll be the general superintendent for the project. So I've been with Consigli 30 years. 20 of those years have been mostly in K through 12 work. I've done a lot of work with Jody, done a lot of work with Tim on pre-con and Christy on pre-con. With Jack and Brandon, I will just be general oversight for safety, schedule, quality, and class.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brandon Mosley. I've been with Consigli for 9 years now. The last 5 have been spent as a project manager on public school projects, including the Waltham High School project and Pickering Middle School in Lynn. My goal is going to be cost assurance throughout the entire project. So I'll be involved with pre-con with Christie's team and then carrying that through closeout to make sure you know exactly what's going on the project. With that comes clear, transparent communication. I want everyone in the town and on the building committee to know what's happening before it happens.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tim Erickson, Chief Estimator. I oversee all of Consigli's K through 12 estimating. For this project, I'll be leading a team of estimators from schematic design through the GMP. I've been an estimator for over 25 years, and the last Consigli. In that time, I've worked on over 75 school projects, totaling more than $4 billion. I also worked on the town hall project. I look forward to an opportunity to continue the relationship and deliver you a successful GMP.
Good evening, Kailash Viswanathan, the Director of Energy. My role specifically here is to support this team and yourself on many aspects relating to pre-purchasing of equipment early, kind of helping in the design and construction review, and then later on operational costs. And we'll kind of talk more about
Good evening, I'm Christy Lyons, Senior Pre-Construction Manager, and I will be the quarterback of the design and the pre-construction effort, managing the Consigli team resources to really set up the project for success. In my 9 years with Consigli, I've worked almost entirely in the K through 12 Chapter 149A market. Schools are my passion. I love building schools and planning schools. And I've worked with every single member of this Consigli team, so there's no learning curve as we bring our best practices to Wilmington.
Good evening, my name is Jack Justice, Project Superintendent with Consigli. Coming up on 9 years with the company as well. So I would be on site every day, managing all aspects of the construction, safety, quality. Currently the project superintendent down the street at the town hall, which has been going great. Love working in the town and want to continue working here for the next few years. I also live in Tewksbury, just 10 minutes away from both of the jobs, so right down the street.
So I think the stats, in terms of this specific team here speak for themselves in terms of number of schools new next to existing 149A projects, but I want to reinforce like the tenured team. Apparently 9 years ago was a big year for us. From a hiring standpoint, because the majority of them all came in. But that just goes to show like they know our processes, they know how to set up the job, and are very, very good and in tune with that. So we want to spend the rest of the time talking through our approach for this specific project.
Starts with pre-construction. Now there's a lot to read on the screen. I'm not going to go through everything and I don't expect you to read it, but really what I want to highlight is that this is almost 2 years of pre-construction that we're going to be working together to plan the project from now until the final GMP approval towards the end of 2026. And it's my role to guide this process, guide the decision-making and identify project risks and opportunities. But a couple things that we want to highlight here. The schematic design estimate being the most critical component right out the gate. Not only is that estimate going to be the baseline at which we compare all of our subsequent estimates and GMPs, it's going to be the number that informs your overall project budget that gets presented to the MSBA and ultimately for your vote. And we recognize the significance and the criticality of that. The next item that we want to highlight is the early release packages. We've made some deviations or assumptions from what the schedule in the RFP. And that includes an early release package tied to the DD submission in April of this year. Of next year, I'm sorry. Not this year.
So as Christy said, this, in our experience, your school is a 2-year construction project. The building proper itself is 2 years. And that's why we need early release and we need early procurement right away. We need to get foundations in the ground, fall of 26. We need to get steel throughout the winter of 26 and 27. We need to get the building tight by 27. And then we need to get the building closed in through the winter of 27 and 28, which that helps us avoid some winter conditions costs as much as possible, keeping those elements throughout those seasons.
Now, this may sound a little scary, buying out these major scopes of work before the design is 100% complete. But rest assured, we have early procurement packages on every single one of our K through 12 projects. It's necessary, as John mentioned, in order to provide that schedule assurance. And we have proven strategies like competitively bidding unit prices to control change order costs in the future, carrying holds and allowances strategically in the GMP so that we're not presenting you with a change order. We're managing all of that in the GMP as we work through construction. With that, we want to highlight 5 keys to success in order to provide that cost and schedule certainty. First is going to be the cost estimate and the communication and how we're going to help support the vote. Constructability and procurement, that's our ability to influence the construction documents. And then our plan for construction, logistics, schedule, and then lastly, engaging not only the community, but importantly, the students.
All right, so shifting gears into what some may say is not only the most exciting part of pre-construction, but construction as a whole, which is estimating. What you're looking at right now is a graphical representation of Consigli's estimated cost broken down on a systems by systems basis, totaling $135.1 million, or $826 per square foot. To the right of that is PM&C's estimate at 136.5, followed by 6 other recent Consigli school projects. Each of those are escalated out to 2027 so that there's parity with the Wilmington Elementary School. And you can see by that red dashed line that the average of those 6 projects at $843 per square foot is just a little bit over the elementary school. So what that tells us is your budget is both responsible and achievable. The other reason that I've got those 6 projects up there is to give you a sampling of our extensive historical cost database that we'll be leveraging throughout pre-construction. What this also allows us to do is to drill down in some of those systems to see where costs are either in line or where there's opportunities or risks. The first example on the top is the interior finishes. And if you look at the blue line and the red dashed line, blue being the elementary school, red being the average, it's a little bit under. So this would be an area of focus for us during pre-construction. The other example would be HVAC, and the average and the cost for elementary school are right on top of each other. So this gives us a high level of confidence in trades like this. Next, I want to talk to you more specifically about cost certainty. So once the prescribed estimates and reconciliations are behind us, our estimators and myself for that matter, don't just go away. We'll be providing you with cost certainty through our continuous estimating process. And we do that by providing you with cost feedback, options analyses, value management, as well as risk mitigation. And because this is a proactive process, we're able to head off potential issues at the pass, and more importantly, avoid timely redesign or time-consuming redesign. Value management is just one of the critical elements of a successful continuous estimating process. And we've gotten a real head start on that with 22 items totaling $5.78 million specific to the Wildwood Elementary School project. And I want to point out that these are all tracked in our pre-construction management platform. One of the benefits of that is that we're able to monitor the success rate of individual value management items over our entire portfolio and understand how often they're accepted to give us a good sense of the success rate of those particular items. And while our estimate is actually under the budget, we always feel that value management is a good exercise to do at each milestone. If nothing else, it introduces an opportunity to introduce or reintroduce, for that matter, value-added scope, as well as an opportunity to offset tariffs or other market conditions that we could encounter during pre-construction.
And it's important to note that at the heart of our approach to value management is to look for cost-effective solutions without compromising durability, design intent, or the educational program. And we've, as Jody mentioned, we've been following along and paying attention to some of the design evolution. And we wanted just to highlight some more cost-effective strategies that we've implemented, such as straight linear lines into a floor system, or using vinyl wall graphics to achieve and bring in natural elements into the buildings. These are more cost-effective solutions that we've used both at the Acton Boxcar School, Douglas Gates. Additionally, we've been following along to the facade, and we wanted to mention some ways to integrate colorful elements, bringing in color in an impactful way in select areas. These are glazed CMU blocks, and then this bottom one, although it looks like a metal panel, it's actually a composite plastic panel, so it's a little bit more durable from a longevity standpoint. But we just wanted to highlight that we do recognize the importance of achieving that design intent with an eye on durability and longevity. And with that, we wanted to highlight sort of our communication strategy. Once we've finished our schematic design effort and talked about value management, we're gonna be your true partner to help support the vote. We're super proud of our success in 26 different communities and helping to support a yes vote and secure that funding with those towns and cities. We wanna work with the yes for Wilmington schools. We understand there may be a committee forming, and we can talk about ways in which we can help support and supplement their efforts. And we definitely need to have a presence on the 4th of July. We understand that that is a major event in town, and having a presence there to talk positively about the project and what that means for the community is going to be very impactful. But we really need to instill confidence in the numbers. That is one of the biggest tools that we can bring to this effort, is leveraging our wealth of historic cost data and really just instilling trust and confidence in the number, and then reiterating that it's a responsible number that your taxpayers are ultimately going to be voting on in come September.
I know we've thrown a lot at you already, so I just want to pause in case questions. If not, we'll just shift gears a little bit into constructability and procurement.
Great, so I just want to kind of highlight a few things here. I kind of mentioned how we have a team that focuses on pre-purchase. Obviously, it evolved out of COVID, but then we built a team to just focus on things like equipment, which is HVAC, generators, electrical gears, where you save time and money eventually by doing that. The other part is, I was following, which I felt like the design of displacement ventilation was really a good choice. Wish everyone followed that, because that's the right way to ventilate. But there's complications that come with it, but maintenance wise, it's very low, very efficient. It's only 65-degree air. I think overall it's a good decision. And both these things help in constructability, because trying to buy equipment sooner, the air source heat pumps or whatever you have out there is going to help the design part of it. It'll go help on the structural side. It'll help with our other kind of procurement we're going to do. And same with displacement ventilation. There's a lot of coordination that needs to happen. I'm guessing you're going to put it on the sidewall or maybe on a column with the ductwork running. So just that kind of coordination is going to help.
Yep, so this is how we manage coordination on all our 149A projects and other projects in general across the company. So you basically starting at DDs for structural foundation purposes, working out with the underground MEPs, and then also structural openings and mechanical units, getting that done before we have subs on board, and working all that in-house. Consigli employees running that. We then bring on the subs and then work out coordination by area, floor, and basically work out all the kinks prior to getting to construction to save costs. So this picture you see is an example of the town hall just down the street. So on the left was before clash detection, before coordination. On the right is the completed coordination of how we're going to install it. So instead of just dropping ceilings, it's reworking the piping down below duct, which is for facilities and a better maintenance perspective as well. So just putting in the effort to make that work.
And doing this early during that DD design phase is gonna allow us to get those solutions into your documents when we go to 100% CDs with trade bidders. So that they are looking at that solution in the drawings and you're getting your best price up front instead of dealing with some of these coordination issues as change orders down the line.
Quickly, I kind of mentioned when I introduced myself is how I'm going to help kind of doing the operational side of it too. You'll see on the left is a typical school energy usage of how it increases over time, and how certain schools have reduced. Lincoln, I'm sure some people recognize this year, has kind of, beaten that target EUI over 2.5 years of measuring it. We use a platform called Atrius. We sit with Buck on a quarterly basis, kind of review their energy usage. And it's kind of related to this like nutrition coach where you set goals. We're always there kind of like with him, like, hey, what happened? Can you tell me? And that gives them the kind of like motivation to go and see how that's actually working, so that's positive at the end. We've tracked a lot of schools. You have a good goal of like 24, 25 EUI. Maybe I think displacement ventilation can do even better. And all this relates to reduced operational costs because over many years you will reduce that cost.
So in the same conversation, operations and maintenance, we know is the top priority for the town. Just working at the town hall, one thing we did with Dennis Kelly and George Hooper was bring in physical material samples, flooring. See what was gonna work for them for cleanliness and durability, and just have that conversation with them and the architect before finalizing on the product.
So once all those items are chosen, what we like to do is before we start construction is build mock-ups. For specific components of the, see there, which is a facade, that we did in Waltham, and we also do them for classrooms as well, full working mock-ups. As we go through the construction of the mock-up, we create a cheat sheet for the trades that are gonna come in and actually build the elements, so they can see how we went through constructability of those mock-ups. And what we like to do is get the design team obviously involved, and we like to say that nothing goes in or on the building unless it's approved by design and by construction.
So taking a step back to that constructability, it's not just for MEP systems. We also look at architectural details. We're gonna take a look at the envelope. We kind of act as that next set of eyes to make sure that there's no scope gap coverages, especially with all the trade bidders before that goes out. And we're making sure that the way that things are tagged in these details make sense with the way that we plan to schedule the project, and the sequence makes sense, so you're minimizing any go back for any sort of trade that's involved. Another part of that is warranty assurance, so wherever possible, if we can make details such as windows, in the seal being installed as the same sub as the actual window supplier, that's one call for a warranty instead of two, if your sealant sub is gonna be doing that primary joint, so we're gonna focus on that as well. Another great tool we use on all 149A and particularly public school jobs is our supplemental instructions. So we can't expect Doran Whittier to put everything into the documents when it comes to the temporary conditions we need to build a project. So things like a temporary heat plan, material loading plan, our life safety plan, any particulars that we need for those specific plans is gonna be put into the supplemental instructions, bought with the subs at the front end while they're giving us our best price, instead of, again, being dealt with as a hold or allowance later, when you're not gonna get the benefit of that buyout.
And just working in town, with Reading Municipal Light Department, we know that they do not pull the primary wires for the permanent power. So that will be an item that would go in the supplementals in the electrical section for them to carry that scope of work. And that avoids a change order right off the bat. So we've had success at the town hall right now and really limited changes by having, these scopes covered with the trades.
And while procurement is sort of the last step in pre-construction, our procurement plan is developed early on. We need trade package sizing and timing. We'll even tap into certain key trades like site work, demolition and abatement, for budget input early, which gets them invested and involved in the project and really tapped in. And generally, this is gonna be a very attractive project, just given the size, the timing, and the location. And it's gonna help increase overall competition, which is gonna drive costs down. All of our trade partners on Waltham, Arlington High School right now, they're asking, what is the next opportunity for me to work on a Consigli K-12 project? Because they know we run clean and safe job sites, which means they can be more efficient and ultimately save money and help drive costs down. I do want to highlight our self-perform capabilities, which is our self-perform group called RIGS. It's a distinct advantage for us that our competition just doesn't have. And it's another level of competition on bid day, given some opportunities to potentially bid. And also it's more red helmets on site, which leads to improved quality, improved safety, and risk avoidance as it relates to schedule. And like the example, we just recently had a great opportunity for rigs at the town hall project.
All right, I know Tim said that estimating was the most exciting part of construction, but some other people at the table might think that the construction piece of it is. So I'm gonna let them talk through their plan for how they actually want to build this school.
So, obviously, number one priority is the functionality of the existing school and the abutters, during construction. We know we can't be invisible, but, the goal to communicate early, often, and have that daily conversation with the school, the principal, just to communicate what we're doing, what's gonna be happening, and limit any distractions, to the existing school and abutters. So, One thing we're doing successfully at the town hall is handing out flyers. These physically go in the abutters mailboxes. QR code to get them a link up to see upcoming project updates, photos, et cetera, just to be involved in the project. And then on site, water trucks daily as needed to mitigate dust, seismic monitoring for vibrations, no early construction, so nothing before 7 a.m. And then sound barriers is something we put along the fence just to limit the noise. So the neighborhood mitigation is safety tie-in directly, so really setting the tone day one, within the site, for the workers, and implementing that into the outside the site as well with the school. So having that daily cup of coffee conversation with the principal, what's gonna be going on, what would affect them, and really just try to mitigate anything to not disturb the school is top priority. You'll see in our logistics sections, setting up the phases, we're really only flip-flopping one time, so that helps everyone get used to where they're going and not be changing constantly. And when they do come back from summer or break, everything would already be set up, so not in the process of changing things as students are coming in and out of school. If one thing we say is if we have a fire drill, if they have a fire drill, we have a fire drill, just to keep everyone on the same page, and work as one site for safety.
Sorry, Jack, I didn't dare hit
Oh,
the
sorry.
back button. I was on a. This-
So now that Jack has a job set up for construction in regards to safety, we know that this job is a 2-year construction project, like we stated earlier in the procurement section. With the 15 or so schools I've been involved with, it all starts with flow of the building, and what we want to do is we want to start the building in the area that needs the most attention. Starting with the mechanical and electric rooms, we know that there's a good sized gym here, gymnasium, so we've learned to start in those areas and then sort of flow out through into the classroom space afterwards. The next big element in the project is focusing on low voltage, and what that means is security, AV, fire alarm, and all the building controls, just based on recent changes in design and the amount of attention that this needs. We realize that this needs a lot of attention up early in the process of building the job. And again, this all ties into early release, so we can start planning for that stuff. And what we want to do is we want to be able to get this building built, turned over at one time, so we can move all 3 schools in at once and not wait for a phased move in.
No, can I, wouldn't mind flipping to that.
Nope, I should have shared on screen.
Oh. There you go, Jack.
All right, so I can walk you through construction logistics now. So you'll see the project site highlighted in red. This is obviously 93. So primary delivery route will be exit 35 off Ballard Vale Ave to our main gate. We'll have a secondary delivery route off exit 34 off Salem Street to a secondary gate here. So overall site logistics day one, this would be the site setup. First thing we would have to do is relocate the playground to a temporary location. Make this our main gate and main access just further away from the school. Bus drop off, pickup and parent pickup would not change during construction. The existing parking lot would stay the same as well, and then maintaining a walking path along the fence if needed. We'd like to set the gates back off the street just as an added layer of safety. Kids crossing the street, and then we add a pedestrian light at each gate as well, just for helping kids or parents cross these streets. Building construction, so like John talked about, starting the gym early, as well as the mechanical room, so that is in this east section of the building. So starting there, foundations, and carrying that through the entire job, so steel, bringing that up, and then moving into the north academic wing and finishing in the south academic wing. Facade will start in the same sequence, and as the facade is progressing, we're going to start the roads, landscaping, and basically following the building around to get to that August 2028 turnover. On-site parking for subcontractors, so nothing's outside the fence line. storage, everything's within the fence. And then we wrap up, turn the whole building over August 2028 for a full move-in K-5. Kids are in the school. This is August 2028 when we start the demolition. So we do leave this parking lot as is. There'll be a temp road off of Salem Street to complete the bus loop and delivery, so full access to the school. 68 spots here, 13 of the permanent spots here, and then we add additional spots on the north side of the site. This will be ample parking for all the staff. Kitchen, maintenance, everyone, that will operate the school as it should be as a full school. So that's 205 spots, we would be handing over. So August 2028, buildings down. January, we start the parking lot, start the field construction. And then summer gets out, school's out, we take over that last section of parking lot, finish this in the summer of 2029. Throughout the phases, we would do a temp binder, which is a first layer of the pavement, and then come back at the end of the job that last summer and give the full pavement, so it's nice, new spots, everything's painted, everything's unified, aligned for this final turnover. That added section of parking in the north there could be utilized as extra parking as well. We know we have the delivery, loading dock there, which we may need some more room to access trucks in, so that can be looked at. But that's the final project turned over in the fall of 2029.
One slide to go.
All right, so our last key to success here is engagement. So we at Consigli understand that building a school is very different than building any other project. My wife's a teacher working at a project that's been going through a location that's gone through a 3-year-long construction project. So I truly understand how important the communication is and minimizing the impact to everyone on that campus is. So simple things like a teacher cheat sheet. When we turn over a building, having this on everyone's desk so that the teachers can focus on the students and what they're now in that building for instead of how to use the lights or run the classroom. That's an easy tool that we can use on our projects and come in and implement. Another group we'd like to get involved with, not just directly related to the school, is with the playground relocation. We've heard that a group in the community may have been involved with the playground that's there now. So when we go to relocate that playground to its temporary place in that first summer, getting them involved early, getting the excitement for the project built up with everyone that's there after we've had a successful town vote. Something we've actually done, the photo here is Consigli staff at a playground in Worcester doing something similar at another school. And then last but not least, it's the children, and that's the reason a lot of us are passionate about doing these types of projects, is getting to see the excitement on their face. So things like the project website where they can ask questions, no matter how silly they are, and we get a chance to interact with them and they can be a part of that project. And so it's not just that day that they walk into a finished building. Coloring contests, another fun thing to get them involved with construction, get them to start to see some different parts and pieces. Milestone celebrations, obviously with topping off, and in our final ribbon cutting, any chance to get them involved is fantastic. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't just want to build a building here, we really want to build the next generation of builders.
And with that was a very quick synopsis in 30 minutes of a $136 million job. So we would like to open it up for questions.
Thank you. I'll start. Based on your initial review of the preferred schematic report, identify 3 major challenges you see in the proposed project in your approach to helping the team successfully handle those challenges.
I actually think,
You want me to start?
well, I think it would be good if we did pre-construction, from your seat, and maybe Jack, your seat.
I'll start with one of my biggest concerns, which is the vote. I'm not gonna say that it's not feasible. I think it certainly is, but like I mentioned, we need to instill confidence in the numbers and transparency in the numbers. I recognize you have a new senior center, the town hall, potentially the Shawshene project, which is a district that you participate in. So we recognize that there's other ongoing potential costs to the taxpayers. So, you know, that is certainly a concern, but I think we have proven strategies, that grassroots approach, word of mouth, getting confidence in the numbers, leveraging our historic cost data, and building these parity scenarios so they know and they feel confident that their school can be built for the dollars that we're asking for at the district, at the town election and the ballot vote.
You guys can arm wrestle.
Can I say one estimating piece? Okay. Just one thing that I wanted to bring up, there are some elements of the project that have some added costs or things like, the terrazzo. We saw some examples of inlays in the flooring. There's the mass timber. There's been conversations about geothermal. I understand that's maybe off the table for the time being. And we have a number of ways to overcome some of those challenges if they're really important elements to be part of the project. There are other areas we can focus to offset that. But that being said, the costs that we've come up with, as I mentioned, at 135 is under budget. I truly think that what you've laid out is achievable from an estimating standpoint.
So I think that ties into what I would think of as your next big item. It's cost assurance. So from my standpoint as a project manager, that's clear, consistent communication. We're setting up our holds and our allowances and buyout as a team. We're not going to do any of this in a whole on our own. We want everyone to have a full understanding of what we're buying. And those supplemental instructions help ensure that we're buying those other pieces that can't be in the design documents, right? But that sets us up at the beginning, but we need to stay fully engaged throughout. Make sure that I'm telling you where our holds and allowance stand consistently. We're updating that, understanding if our risks have gone past where we are now in the project and we've dealt with that issue that we still have money for. Can we use it for something else? So we're gonna commit to being fluid throughout that entire process and completely transparent with everyone.
Yeah, and I would just add, just working on the occupied school campus. I know I walked you through the logistics plan on how we would keep clear separation, clear communication. And really just sticking to that. Just me personally, working at the town hall, it's surrounded by the abutters, it's right in the middle of the town, so kind of going through it now. It's been going well, but just really setting up that expectation from the beginning, clear separation, communication, and just keeping everyone safe, especially the school.
Thank you. The next question as well. What specific role did your project manager and superintendent have in the three similar projects you listed in response?
So Brandon was the project manager at Waltham.
Correct. Yep.
And I think the other ones, I don't know that Brandon or Jack were in the other two. The other two were Acton, Boxborough. And now I'm drawing a big blank on the third, but I know they weren't you two. Because the other two were like John Christie, myself, Kailash.
Well, how would you envision you working together on this project? That would the project manager.
I think it'd be very similar to what you're seeing from us at the town hall, because what we do at Consigli is based a lot in very typical SOPs, roles and responsibilities. And we've both been here for 9 years, so we have a full understanding of what those are supposed to be. So you're gonna see us both there day to day. We talk daily. The superintendent I'm working with now, he's the favorite under my wife on my cell phone, right? We talk probably even more on the phone, so we're in constant communication. And that's how we get our projects done.
Yeah, I'll just add, at the town hall, so I'm on site every day as well as the project manager. Like Brandon alluded to in the presentation, you know, kind of cost side on the construction safety side, but that all intertwines daily, so constant communication between us on all aspects of the construction project, going down through our PEs, assistant supers, everyone on the team.
Thank you.
So go back to the pre-construction. Can you discuss how you will add value in promoting the project to the community prior to the town vote?
Sure. Well, one thing that we would love to do, in addition to getting in front of every single community group that you have through presentations like we did at Stoneham and Canton recently. We would love to create a promotional video. It's something that we can do in-house. We've done before on several projects, and it could be aired on local television, linked to the project website. And it just talks about the benefits of the project, the need for the project. Talk about bringing your schools together to really create this community hub. And it's something that we would love to do. We would love to even engage potentially the high school communication students or graphic design students to be involved in that process. Because our ability to work and engage with the students isn't just limited to the elementary school. We would love to engage with students throughout the district. I think that's something that we can certainly bring to the table.
Thank you. As you know, this is a project being built on the same site as the existing school. Can you talk about your approach and steps to minimize the disruption to school operations during construction?
Sure, kind of like that neighborhood mitigation, starts with really the separation. And then just daily communication between me and the principal of what the priorities are. You know, we know the bus routes, we know where parent pickup drop off is, and a lot of that really stays the same throughout the majority of the construction. It'll be critical when we flip phases just on how that's gonna look when they get back, making sure they know where to go, what's changed. But I'd say really just the communication, setting up those barriers, the higher fences, especially around the school, and just really monitoring any of the dust. But you know, we have on-site water mitigation, seismic. Here, there won't be too much vibration because we assume there's no ledge, but you know, there's the rolling machine for the compactors. So, but just having seismic set up around the site to monitor that and address any issue that comes up immediately.
I think a big part of our school projects too is that academic calendar. You know, he's talking about daily coffee with the principal and talking to her about what are the activities happening today? When is it MCAS? Or maybe that won't be a thing in the future, but probably will be. When are there events, you know, in the afternoon that parents are coming in for? That's not a day-to-day thing. It's important for us to know those things because Jack can then adjust and make sure that it's not just those blackout times that trucks aren't coming, like there's this big event this day, so we can't do it. And I think the more it's never our side of the fence versus their side of the fence, as Jack was talking about, it's one community. So the more we can engage and be part of that, they can see us as part of that school. Be like, there goes Jack. Just get ready for it. Like the little kids are gonna wanna know your name and wanna know your address and do you have a dog and do you have anything and what's that truck and what is this thing and what's that noise? Like, that's the fun part. But that makes it that it's not us versus them. It's this inclusive environment that's just fun. And that's the fun part about elementary school, right? Middle school, ours are just like, whatever. Elementary kids are still fun.
But just last question, I know we talked about on-site traffic and parking. Can you talk a little bit about handling neighborhood traffic concerns off-site?
Yeah, I think utilizing that primary delivery, like everything's gonna come from 93, no matter where it comes from, material from anywhere. So I think using that exit 35 is a better route to come in off Ballardville and come in that gate further away from the school. Really without, I think with everyone being parked on site, you know, we start at 7 a.m. and we go till 3 o'clock. So everything will be contained within the site. Jody mentioned the blackout time, so working with the school on, hey, what time is bus pickup, what time is, and no deliveries allowed during those times. And that's a
Jack,
strict,
also
strict policy.
that fence was not just for visibility. You had another reason for that.
Yeah, just if any trucks showed up early or, you know, there's room to get that truck in, so it's not blocking or pulling in the bus, you know, getting those trucks off the road.
Were you also alluding to contractor parking and how that might affect on-street parking for?
No, I think the contractor parking, I understood it. But thank you.
So this question is for the project manager and the project superintendent. tell us what a specific problem arose and how you resolved it on the job.
Randy, you wanna go?
No problem.
Those are all my favorite questions.
I know, right? I mean, there's problems every day that come up, and very specific one.
Well, I think with anything else, you know, when something does come up, and speaking from a pre-construction side, but it's somewhat universal, and you can jump in if I'm wrong. It's a matter of assessing what the source of the problem is, coming up with a quick solution, presenting what that problem happens to be, but also at the same time presenting a solution. Right, it's not so much just to say, here's what's going wrong, but here's how we're gonna overcome that. And I think communication, being forthright and honest, I think those are some of the cornerstones of what we do across the board at Consigli. And I think that rings true, especially in the field.
I can speak to one just recently on a job. And from the superintendent's perspective is material deliveries and making sure that the right products coming to the site. Concrete, if you get the wrong mix of concrete and that goes in the wall, that can be detrimental to schedule in the project. So just material verification and making sure that the product aligns with the specification and what we're putting in place. So we had a truck turned around, so when I say one truck, 4 trucks, so it's 40 yards of concrete that the delivery company got wrong from the mix from the plant. So the truck comes onto the site, the assistant superintendent read the delivery slip, had the specifications, hey, this doesn't match. So 40 yards of concrete at their cost, at the delivery company's cost, had to eat that.
I think, go
One
ahead.
thing I'll add to what Tim said is just, you know, problems always come up with, things fitting, low, elevations of window. This just happened to the town hall. Window didn't fit because of a steel cross frame. So let's get the architect on the phone. Hey, we propose a solution. We can shift the window this, shift it that way. What do you want to do? And just work through the solution, not just, hey, this doesn't work. So working through the solution, coming up with an answer that everyone agrees with, and then proceeding to install it that way. And just really keeping it fluid and moving is what we like to do.
What is the main difference from your firm to other firms?
I can jump in again.
What is this with this estimating? This being aggressive today.
Yeah, well, one thing that we bring to the table is the fact that we've been building schools that longer than anyone else, and we've built more schools than anybody else. So we have a historical database on the estimating side that we can put to good use. We have a historical database on lessons learned in the field that we can put to good use. We develop our supplemental instructions based on many, many years of understanding exactly how a school should be built. It serves as a bridging document from you know what Whittier's gonna develop and how we want it built, and understanding what the subcontractors need to own, and so that they don't come back after the fact and charge us with change orders. Anyone else wanna add to that?
I think our biggest differentiator is just the level of accountability that we hold ourselves and our subcontractors to. We're not gonna be perfect. We're gonna mess things up, and we're gonna tell you when we mess things up, and we're gonna tell you how we're gonna fix it. And I think that starts from pre-construction in terms of detailing out to the nth degree. Again, they're showing you what piece of flashing they want what with. So that they don't have the mason coming up, you know, that's the example that Brandon was showing. They don't want the mason bringing all the block and then the flashing and then wait for the waterproofer to come in. That's the level of detail these guys are gonna go to ensure that that flow is there. They will miss something. It's $136 million job. We can't figure out all the things. And a lot of times I'll say construction is like Jurassic Park, and life will find a way that even if we've solved all the problems, there's gonna be something else that comes along. But that level of accountability, they will show up, they will tell you, they will figure it out, like Jack told you. And they will strive to make it an enjoyable experience along the way.
Thank you.
Okay, time for about 2 more questions.
Sure. Just want to commend you all. Thanks for excellent presentation. You covered a lot of ground within that and answered some of my questions. I do have a couple. You mentioned the fact that, you know, to achieve the schedule that we're trying to get to, early packages would be necessary. And in your experience, what does your firm do to kind of work through that potential issue of gaps between the design isn't fully developed yet, we're parsing out a bunch of early stuff, and then the reconciliation when the design does catch up to where you guys are, and that kind of in the lens of what we're working in the world right now with, you know, potential tariffs out there and, you know, stuff that's going to affect our future. We're kind of plan for that.
Yeah, so I think some of the things that the team hit on, whether it be pre-purchasing that equipment, we're not waiting for the trade bidders to tell us what the air handler is. We know what the air handler is, so your structural engineer can design the steel around that as early as DDs. You know, that's a way to do it. Coordinating, you know, those foundations and those early site packages. You know, the steel trades, the site trades are all non-trade bidders. We can talk to those people early and figure out where are gonna be the issues here. How do we work through some of those things now? How do we use our in-house BDC to help you do some clash detection early so we can take it a certain percentage of the way there before the trade bidders even look at it? We don't wanna do all of it. We can't because we don't know the rest of the things that they're buying, so it'd be 1 of 3. But we want them to own that piece of it, but we can do a good portion of it up front. And then the last piece I'll say is, again, we're not gonna be able to do all of it, but we do know through our experience of doing these early release packages, where to carry those holds and allowances like beam penetrations that maybe we just haven't figured out yet, so that we're holding that money and not telling the subs, hey, you're gonna own this. Because then they're gonna include it in the bid at a higher number, then they're gonna tell us that they didn't have it because we can't prove it, and then we're gonna either pay for it twice. Or we just hold it, so if we don't spend it, it goes back, so that we control that risk. And they don't get the profits, like we can reallocate it within to the budget.
Thank you for that. You also mentioned that you guys self-perform a lot of work when necessary and you provide bids for that going through. Can you tell me a little bit about what you customarily self-perform?
We can do concrete carpentry work, you know, doors, frames, hardware install, metal panel install, which it sounds like we won't have here. Not a huge taste for metal panels.
Some masonry.
Masonry restoration.
Yeah.
Restoration, yeah, we wouldn't do the trade masonry. What am I forgetting?
Work, casework, timber frame.
Yeah,
Door frame.
some spray
Yeah.
insulation,
Yeah.
yeah.
It really boils down to what makes most sense for us. So we won't bid on every trade on every project. And oftentimes there's some concern about timing as far as when we submit our numbers. If it's the same day as the other bidders, if it's a day prior, and we're perfectly comfortable doing either or. It's just a matter of what your preference is.
Do you find that you're typically bidding ahead of time to self-perform work, or when you're self-performing, it's more to augment some of your other contractors to try and keep you up with schedule, or is it?
Like I'd say those are 2 different scenarios. So a lot of it in terms of like the timing and if it makes sense, like are our crews available, you know, will they put a bid on it? We only self-perform maybe 25% of the work that we do. Then that's company wide, so it has to be like the timing, we have to have the people. In terms of augmenting, we have other staff that are allocated to like those general requirements that can also do trade work. So if there is a sub falling down, we can bring them. Yes, supplement them to make sure, you know, in those trades, we can't pull wires, nor would we ever pull wires.
Yeah.
But yeah, on some of those others, you know, that is definitely a tool we can and have used to help keep the schedule moving.
Great, thank you.
I think you guys answer almost all of my questions, in your really great presentation. I only have one, which from the owner's perspective, it's one of those questions you have to ask, right? So when encountering a potential challenge on site, what is the process for notifying the owner of a potential delay?
So it goes with the clear, consistent communication we talked about. So I think upfront, before we start anything, we're gonna set up who wants to get the phone call first, what that order is, what that hierarchy is. So any sort of issue we have, if it's a scheduled delay, we're gonna go through, do our research, we're obviously gonna have consistent communication. So we're gonna have that upfront conversation with you right away and say, hey, we think this is happening. We've gone through what the options are to try and, we always like to come with a solution. So what are our options to recover it? We do typically we'll send a formal notice to make sure that we're following whatever the contractual obligations are between us and the city. But we want to be upfront with that. Hey, we see this issue. This is what we think the solutions are. As a group, let's make a decision on our best path forward, whether that needs to spend some dollars or maybe we sacrifice a little bit of time in the schedule. As a group, let's make that decision so that we're all on the same page, and then we'll take it and hold everyone accountable to following through.
We found that hiding an issue never works.
No.
You're gonna have more options by saying, hey, we're running up against this, the sooner. And that's the message we convey to our subs too. Like, don't hide anything from me. I can help you more the sooner you tell me. If you back me into a corner, it's not gonna go well. Right? So our approach is always to throw it out there and say, hey, there's this issue. What can we collectively come up with? Here's what we would do. But there's always gonna be that balance, to Brandon's point. Is it a schedule impact? Can we use contingency to help and do this? Can we bring in rigs to help supplement this? We don't ever come and just say, this is what we're doing. We certainly don't hide until it surfaces. We've all lived that. It doesn't go well. You learn that very early on when you're scared to say anything.
Well, we all hope that there's no, issues on this project, but you have to ask the question.
Yeah.
So. All right, well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. The presentation was excellent. We look forward to reaching back out to you.
Yeah, we have books, we brought enough for the committee. There's a QR code in there that will take you to the video if they want to watch the video. Kenneth has the files. I can email them to you as well if you want. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.